The Edmonton Oilers are heading to the Stanley Cup final, Jason Strudwick, where the Florida Panthers await. And we'll get a thought on that matchup in just a moment. But let's talk about the way that they got themselves past the Dallas Stars in game number 6. You know, two players who we need to talk about first and foremost. Let's start with Connor McDavid. Stuart Skinner, shocker, is the other one, by the way. But that play that Connor McDavid made to absolutely ignite that building, probably take a big weight off every member of his team's chest as well. That was a signature Connor McDavid moment.
It was humongous, and he keeps adding to the legend that he is already and all the incredible moments he's had. He came in tonight, and he decided the series was going to end the way he played. He was involved in both goals the Oilers scored. I thought he was very, very good defensively, but the night started with him walking around the top, getting the puck, skating around Heiskanen or just past him, dragging toe drag, backhand, far side shelf. Incredible goal against a group that are good skaters on the penalty kill. Just a massive moment. And he knew it. You can tell when he knows that he scored a big goal, he reacts differently than just another Johnny-come-lately one.
So Stuart Skinner, the words I used on SportsCenter and on Right Show, Struddy, was to say that this was a reputation cleanser of a game for Stuart Skinner. You know, there were still question marks about him. Even this deep into the third round, I believe there were some lingering question marks about Stuart Skinner. I don't think there can be those question marks. He showed that on the big stage, he can come up big, and he needed to be the best Oiler in game 6, and he was, Struds. Do you agree with that idea that this will do a tremendous amount for that thing that has been following him around since Vegas last year?
This player, or this goalie, is growing in front of us as we watch these playoffs unfold, right? Last year, there's a number of times where he was pulled, and the team I don't think was quite as good either. But it's tough. You feel like you're the one, right? Then he come into the Vancouver series, and there's a little bit of a wobble there, and he's pulled out,
lost the net. Yeah,
shows a ton of courage to a ton of belief in the netminder, puts him back in, and he plays well. And then he delivers this performance in game 6 in the third round. He is growing, his confidence growing. And the biggest part of it is at Rishaug. If he has another wobble, he can now reset, because he's like, I've reset before. I know what that feels like. I know what that's like. And you have to go through that. So it's not just teams, it's not just skaters. Goalies also have that. He now has 5 playoff rounds of experience he can grow and grow from, but also learn from heading into the Stanley Cup final.
It wasn't close at even strength. Let's just call it for what it was. I mean, the Dallas Stars carried the bulk of the play. Next to no shots on net for the Oilers. It was record-setting in terms of conference finals go and clinching games. The Oilers with their offensive output tonight at even strength. So they lean heavily on special team, Struds. On a night where at even strength, Dallas was fighting for their lives, the special team swing was massive in this game, and it cannot be talked about enough what this Oiler penalty kill has meant to them on this run. Perfect in 2 out of 3 series, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's a franchise record for them having this type of a run. Credit the coach, Mark Stewart, a former NHL defenseman, took this over when the coaching change happened, and he's got these guys doing great things. What I love is they're cutting the ice in half, pushing whoever gets the puck on the wall down, and now you're pushing into the corner where there's less options and less freedom to make plays than other Oiler players, whether that's another D-man or 2 D-men in some cases. So they're doing a great job of making the offensive zone much smaller, and they're struggling. So, looking ahead, Florida's going to try to figure out how to break it. But as will Mark Stewart and his group. They'll look and see what the tendencies of Florida are and try to force them around.
And maybe that's what's so impressive. I mean, it's not like Pete DeBoer and his staff wouldn't have spent a ton of time trying to figure out ways to improve and work around it, but they never really seemed to find any adjustments that were significant enough to break through. It's not like they all of a sudden started getting a ton of great looks because they came at them with all this different stuff.
The challenge is that when you're PKing like this, you're very aggressive, and it doesn't allow the offensive players time to set up. And they want time. They don't need the time, but they want time to try to break you down and to try to get you to move your stick in the wrong direction. Well, they use what I call keeping them on the run. So you're constantly attacking, constantly making them trying to shift and find open ice to try to find an open player, rather than trying to create the offense that they so desperately want in their power play.
Pushing ahead to the Stanley Cup final, and we will preview this matchup in more depth here on TSN in the days to come here. But what's your original thought here, Struds, about how different this style of play and this challenge will be for the Oilers from what they have come through here?
Yeah, watching Florida play New York, it's everyone. Everyone is playing hard on that team. They're physical, they make plays, they're relentless on the forecheck, blocking shots. I mean, they just don't stop. And there's not a line that doesn't play that way. So for the Oilers, they have to, be ready for that and know it's coming and not be surprised by it, because it's going to come every single shift of every period until the first team gets 4 wins.
It's going to be amazing watching Barkov go toe-to-toe with whether it's McDavid or Draisaitl. It'll be interesting to see if Chris Knoblauch tweaks his lineup, considering it's going to be a different looking series style of play-wise, right? Does he take what was a winning lineup and make some adjustments? Probably should. Maybe in and around that Leon Draisaitl line too. I think they could maybe use a little bit more on that second line than what they've gotten here in recent games. Struds, maybe a tweak is needed there, whether it's Dylan Holloway, Evander Kane back up there with Leon Draisaitl. Be interesting to see what Knoblauch does.
Well, it's taken him 2 or 3 games in the second or third round to find the ideal line combination to have success.
True.
Yeah. What we didn't see till, what was it, game 3 or 4, we saw Perry with McLeod and Leon, and those 2 players had sat out the previous game. So, what he starts with, I will doubt highly that it'll be what the series finishes with. But I, for one, am looking forward to a matchup of Kane versus Tkachuk. We saw these 2 go at it when Tkachuk was at the Flames and Kane was kind of newly arrived here with the Oilers. I'm guessing those 2 will have some discussions on the ice along with Sam Bennett. So I'm looking forward to this matchup. I think hockey fans are going to be treated to a good series.
It's going to be a ton of fun and look forward to it. The Oilers, the Florida Panthers, the Stanley Cup final gets underway on Saturday. I would expect the Oilers to take a day, if not 2, off here before they hit the road potentially Thursday for the Stanley Cup final in Florida. Travel's going to be a big thing, man. A couple time zones. This is a long way to go between Edmonton and Florida for these teams. So there's going to be 2 days between games each time the series changes locations, which will help with that. But it's going to be fascinating to see. Both teams going to get a good chunk of rest here, though, before it gets underway. Look forward to chatting lots more about it in the days ahead. Thanks, Struddy.
Good times.